Shalom, people. This is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video, and just want to come on and talk a little bit tonight about our recent visit to Washington, D.C. to go to the National Museum of African American History. Got my t-shirt on right here, and culture. I also got a hat. It was a pretty good deal. Got a Smithsonian armband, a hat, and this t-shirt with the logo on it. We decided to go up to visit the museum instead of celebrating that wicked holiday, Thanksgiving. We had planned this a couple months ago, and I'm so glad that we went. We had been wanting to go to the museum a while ago, and the Most High opened up opportunity on our schedule for us to go for 3 days. Because if you're going to get the full effect of the museum, it takes about, if you get there in the morning, early in the morning, and it's not crowded, you probably can cover at least 2 floors in one day, if you're not breezing through it. If you're really taking it in and reading everything, there's so much stuff there. I would say for myself, it would probably take you a day to get through. It opens up at 10:30. So, taking into account the crowd, checking in, and all that, I would say, because it closes at 5:30, it would take you, and when I say 2 days, I'm not talking about from, when you wake up. I mean from the time that you would get there at 10:30, check in, and then depending on the crowd, it would take you that amount of time from the time you got in at 10:30 to it probably closes to get through the first 2 floors, if you're really gonna take it in. And then it would take you another day to get through the 3 remaining floors. And also, I think they have exhibitions that we didn't actually get to go to, but we made it through. Actually, it took us all 3 days, because the first day we got through the first 2 floors, and it was very, heart riveting, but also enlightening. It kind of gives you an understanding more about what we as African Americans have really meant to this country, that without us there would be no Western world. It also gives you it kind of codifies and puts everything in one place for you to really be able to absorb the trauma and the impact that this thing called chattel slavery and the American experience has had on us. It's one thing to read about this stuff in books, but when you go there to the museum, you got actual artifacts, you got actual documents, you got actual pictures from private collections that are there, you got life-like statues with the exact proportions of the people that they represent, and then you got a short bio over telling you about this person. You got interactive videos and things like that, running to add some drama to what you're hearing. So it is very, very riveting, very enlightening, but also you need to prepare yourself emotionally before you go in there because you do, and it was kind of a shock to me, you do have quite a few Caucasian and other races that will be there. We was really shocked about the amount of people that was there that was not black. And so you're going through this, and you understand it's a museum and you can't have no disruption and all this stuff, but as you going through and you are seeing this and they're seeing this, you know, the Caucasian people, and you right beside them, and you know, you have in your mind that you're gonna say something. You're like, I can't say, you know, this is a museum, this is not the time and the place for me to, but you can kind of feel that the other races that are there, when they are watching you absorb this, they a lot of times they kind of give you your space. They kind of like walk around you and say, oh, excuse me, oh, no, you go first or whatever. But I still was amazed about the amount of them that were there taking it in. Now, of course, I could, you know, I wasn't there to berate people that was there that are the descendants of those that did it, but I can tell you that as I was walking through and I was looking at some of the, you know, the bios and the pictures and the facts that they were presenting, that when I you know, maybe after looking at something that might be really riveting, I would find myself trying to just move around in another direction, because I know that they probably could feel the anger of this terroristic things, this torture that was done to us. So that you would be like, okay, and I see a group of them standing there. They like they want to say something. I'm not in the mood. I don't, you know, I don't want to talk. I don't want to say, hey, I just want to move on to the next exhibit because I don't want to talk to you right now. Just let me absorb what has just happened here, because I'm telling you, you know, I took a lot of pictures, and I'm not internet savvy as I should, and in fact I don't even know how much longer any of these videos that I have here on YouTube is going to be up. You know, even my channel is going to exist, because according to many with the new YouTube rules coming into I guess coming into play on the 10th of December, if you have a channel that is not bringing in revenue for YouTube, they can, or if you have a video, any videos that's not getting any views or not bringing any money, they can either shut down, take off the videos, take the videos down, or they can just shut your whole channel down. And I know I'm not, you know, and because when I started the channel, I said I was doing these videos as a prosperity, so that if something ever happened to me, my sons or my family members could come back and they could look and they could see, you know, that while all this chaos and stuff was going on in the world, that I wasn't silent. That the best way that I could to be able to voice my disagreement or put my 2 cents into what was going on in the times that we're living in, I put my voice, added my. That's why I disagree with a lot of, you know, people that state, oh no, you need to all be in one little place. Everybody needs to be concentrated in one little place. You don't need to have all these little channels here, little channels there. I don't agree with that. Just the multiplicity is the way to go. That's what Yeshua said, he said, go out and make disciples, right? And then once those disciples are discipled, then those disciples make disciples. Yeshua showed his disapproval to us gathering in one collective in the book of Acts. I want to say what chapter it is. I want to say Acts. It's the chapter where the persecution started with Stephen. After they had let's go to the word real quickly. Not gonna be before you long, but let's go to Acts. I think it was Acts. Okay, here you go. All right. It was Acts. Acts the 6th chapter. Yeah. This is the stoning of Stephen. Or actually, yeah, Acts the 7th chapter is when Stephen got stoned, and then Acts the 8th chapter is when the persecution started. Now, contrary to what most people believe, the persecution of the body of Mashiach, or the Nazarenes, the sect of the Nazarenes, of the way, it wasn't called the church. The persecution of those that were followers of Yeshua was because they did not follow the mandate that Yeshua had told them in Acts the 1st chapter, when he said, go into all the world. He said, start in Jerusalem, then Samaria, and then the uttermost parts of the world. But a lot of times when you read the Bible, it doesn't tell you the years. It might say they was there some days, but those some days could actually be some years. And what you find out is it was years after the day of Pentecost that they were still there in Jerusalem, going from house to house. They was not expanding. Actually, I believe that they was doing, they was actually believing that Yeshua is getting ready to come back. Let's just stay here in Jerusalem, and that's just fellowship or whatever. Well, you already see what Yah allowed to happen. First, he allowed in the 6th chapter for dissension to rise up amongst them, because it said that those that were the Hellenistic Jews, meaning they were actually Hebrews, but they had been born and raised probably somewhere in a Grecian or Roman colony, and they didn't know anything about the Hebrew customs or whatever. But they had proselyted, if you can believe this, they had proselyted into the Hebrew religion, but they was considered to be Hellenistic Jews, even though they were by blood Jews or Hebrews, but they were still considered to be Grecian. That's why in Acts it calls them the Grecians. And so it was a difference, or at least those that had been born and raised in Israel made a distinction between them and what they call the Grecians, right? And the Bible said that these widows that were Hellenistic, who had been converts to Judaism, but then when they believed in Yeshua, and now they was part of the sect of the Nazarenes, of the way, because they had that distinction prior to converting to Judaism, and then being born again and being part of the sect of the Nazarenes, of the way, they were neglected, because they was like, okay, we are born and raised here in the land. You came on, I'm just paraphrasing, you came on to the Jewish religion as a proselyte. You wasn't born here. You was born in some Greek or Roman colony, even though you were probably a Hebrew by blood, but you hadn't been born and immersed in it. And so now we are in, even though we are in the in this thing called the way, the sect of the Nazarenes, and it's supposed to be as it pertains to being grafted in, right, or being grafted back in. We both equally were not part of the natural branch. So we are the, or at least they was believing that they was only the natural branch. We are the natural branch that was grafted in. You were proselyte. You are the wild olive branch, which I don't believe. I believe that they were Hebrew by blood, but they considered them to be Gentiles because they hadn't been born and raised in the land. Be that as it may, Yah allowed dissension to raise up amongst them, where they had to come up with the concept of the deacons, and that's what Stephen was. And we know Yah said, okay, I gotta get them out of Jerusalem because they're not doing what I told them to do. They're not going out, so I'm gonna let dissension rise up. I'm gonna stir that up, and now I'm gonna take one of my precious ones, which is Stephen. I love Stephen, and Stephen is faithful. But in order for me to shock my followers into doing what I need, I'm going to allow Stephen to be stoned to death. And then we know on in chapter 8 Bible of Acts, it talks about the persecution just spread out through Saul, breathing out, threatenings and everything, and hauling people off, and then they scattered out, because it never was for us to be into, whether it's a little small gathering that just or a big mega church. It never was for us just to hunker down. We also always supposed to be moving forward. We always supposed to be on the offensive, either through prayer, praying down, casting down strongholds, or asking Most High to lead us to those that do not know Yeshua and the pardon of their sins. And now with us realizing that we are Hebrews, not only putting that into play, but also letting our people know that we are the people, and that Yah had originally had this thing for us, and that he wants us to be a people and a nation again. And the only way that can happen is if one that you're speaking with is born again, and also that we understand we must return back to his laws, statutes, and commandments. So I don't agree with those that they want to in this, whatever you want to call it, awakening, that want to recreate these mega churches again, saying, well, everybody needs to assemble around this one place or whatever. One of the things I liked about the movie the Terminator Judgment Day is near the end of the movie, what the guy, the John Connor character said. He said, all this time we was trying to find the they was trying to shut down Skynet, right? And they was trying to find, where's the Skynet mainframe? That if we shut down the Skynet mainframe, then we can stop Judgment Day. But what he ended up finding out was, he said, hold up, this was all a waste of time. He said what we ended up understanding was Skynet was a virus that went out to every individual computer in the world. And he said that's what made it unstoppable. He said, because you can shut down one mainframe, but when the virus is in every computer in the world, you can't shut down every individual computer. So it would have been, he said it would have just been impossible to stop Judgment Day from happening. So I say the same thing about this message. we need to have a multiplicity of voices speaking. Now, does that mean that every voice is speaking truth? No, it's not. Obviously, you had Simon the sorcerer, and when Philip went down to Samaria and preached, it became part, but they was able to weed him out, right? And so it's the same here, because what'll happen is it'll just be another recreation of another, if Yah delay his coming, and some time go, you'll have another. You just have another Hebrew version of the church where you have just certain ones that become the quote unquote bishops, and then everybody else got to fall in line with them, and the free flow of the Ruah. See, the Ruah was once a spirit that was able to move on each and every individual believer, was able to minister through them to different people. One of the things I always, used to hate, when I was part of the Christian church was, most of the pastors would be like, okay, all we need you to do is tell them they need to be born again and they need to come to church, and that's it. We'll take care of the rest. There was no individual discipleship with the person, because one of the biggest thing was you got to get them into this ark. You got to get them into this building. And so if the Hebrew thing goes to that, then if something would go down, just like John Connor said, if you got one mainframe, you can take everything out. But if you got individual things out there, right, they can't shut down everything, right? So I'm praying that this channel will stay up, but who knows? It's still enough channels out there that the word is gonna get out. They can't shut down everybody. So I'm gonna do some more videos in the next couple of days that I gotta upload, and me and my wife are gonna sit down and we're gonna discuss some of the things that we seen while we was there at the museum. So I want you to subscribe. I want you to like this video, and I want you to leave a comment. Be blessed.